Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Untapped Podcast. My name is Jacob Gabel.
And my name is Jacob Wurtz, guys. Welcome to episode 115. If this is your first time joining us for the Untapped Podcast, first of all, thank you. We are thrilled to have you here with us. We've actually got 5 main formats of our show. First, we have 14 Fortitude episodes. Now, in these episodes, we cover the mental side of our brand. So in these ones, we go over our anecdotal experience with things like mindset and mentality. We then pass on tips and advice to you guys to then apply to your own lives. Next, we have physical vitality episodes. Now, in these episodes, we cover the physical side of our brand. So we really get to showcase our expertise because you have 2 certified personal trainers here. In these episodes, we cover everything to do with fitness, nutrition, the gym, workouts, diets, fitness programs like 75 Hard, supplements, and then sometimes we will even take trending topics or articles within the fitness industry and give our thoughts and opinions on those. In those episodes, ton of free game for you guys.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well done. Untapped training as well. If you're looking to work on your physical or mental fitness is live. If you guys want to hit us up about that, DMs on both of our Instagram accounts and or the Untapped Instagram account as well. All work. Now, third format, guys, is our breaking news format. The breaking news format is a current event-based format. It's when we go over current events and articles going on in the world. We break them down, whether or not they're worth exploding over or dooming and glooming about, but we bring a positive note to those as well, and also a very funny note to those episodes as well too, because we really think we should be staying still, so to speak, as our book club we're in is working on right now, guys. So our fourth format is our Knights Table format. That's what we have for you today. It is a masculinity-based format. Now, keep in mind, I'm 25. Wurtz is 25. Mitchell's 23. All dudes in here. So because of that reason, all young dudes, we're not coming to you from the top of the pedestal or some top of a high horse on a mountain or whatever you want to call it. The only perfect man to ever exist and perfect example of it was Jesus Christ. Now, because of that, we go over masculinity topics, how important fatherhood is, how important masculinity is in the world and in your own life. Fifth format is our guest format. That is when we sit down with entrepreneur, fitness professional, athlete, doctor, somebody with a great story. We learn a ton from those episodes. You guys are all going to learn a ton from those episodes as well. Whether or not you know the person like we often do, you're going to gain a lot. Our last thing to introduce is our producer and my brother, Mitchell Gabel.
Hi there. Back to the goofy intros from Mitch there.
We are supposed to be talking louder, as he says nowadays too.
You think like this?
I think that's good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just blew out a lot of people's speakers.
Some people probably just get pissed off. They're like, okay, I'm done. I can't handle this. I hate when they talk loud.
A minute and a half in. Like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Just call it right off the bat.
Thanks for the click anyway. But,
yeah, it's like we appreciate the short view, I guess. Right. Yeah, that's all we can get out of it.
Yes.
But support's been awesome lately.
Been really good. Yeah.
Especially with different submitted questions and also just in-person interaction. I mean, it's been really satisfying to hear day by day, especially in Health Source for me and whatnot, and on the internet, like how much this is actually seeming to do for you guys.
Starting to reach quite a few people.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, when name recognition for us, that means we can help more people.
Definitely.
It means we can bring more people into the personal development movement that we're on ourselves as well. So pretty cool stuff.
And what's pretty interesting on that note too, you know, at Health Source, you're really mainly seeing an adult population, you know, of people. You know, I'm sure there's a wide range there, but you know, older than us, some you know, older, some maybe in 30s, 40s, things like that.
Yep.
And then I'm on the opposite side. I get a lot of high school guys that talk about our episodes, or you know, can't wait for the new YouTube video to come out, or asking when the newest one is going to come out, and things like that from Legacy. So we're kind of getting both sides there, and it's really cool. It's all very, very meaningful to us as well. So cool things happening.
Yeah. And it kind of indicates our episode today actually too, because there's like both sides of the stable foundation we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Because you got obviously the older crowd or the adult crowd on my side, which they can help build that strong foundation in their own children and whatnot.
And hopefully did build
stable
foundation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then in your case, you can then build a bunch of young men who are now also going to build stable foundations for our current United States culture or the world culture for that matter as well.
Our future kids too, you know, things like that. And, you know, we get to set an example for that younger crowd as well, and be like, listen, like, this is how you should live your life. These are, the different values that we believe in and we represent with our lives and how we live and things like that. So it's also cool. We get to follow in the footsteps of those ahead of us, do things, maybe better in our eyes or more efficiently or whatever. And then we get to pass on that to that younger generation. So we're kind of in that cool middle ground right now. We're still very young. Obviously, we still have tons and tons of things to learn. But I feel like we're doing at least a decent job.
I'd say there's a direction that we're following that is the correct one to be following. Yeah. And the more we can hammer on that path, it's like what you said in your post yesterday. We're recording Saturday. So Friday, March 8th was when your last post was with that in our case here. But it's like you said, forward is forward. Right. Step by step by step.
Right.
As long as you have that right direction, we can point people that way. We can also point ourselves in that direction too.
100%.
And continue to follow that, which is huge.
And it goes for your life. It goes for sports. In case you can't tell right now, guys, I was coaching before I'm all clutched out, the pants, the hoodie, and the beanie here.
I just thought it was a brand that you were wearing. Yeah, right. I assumed. I
right. But even in sports, like, it matters too. Today, we came away with 2 W's. It's what we do. We win. It's fine. But but there were
totally humble.
Yeah.
Humble team as well.
I didn't take the credit. I just said it's what we do. How you perceive that is how you perceive that. But I kid. But
oh man,
came away with 2 W's. However, there's still plenty of things to work on. Right. Still plenty of things to talk about, maybe be upset about, or things that could have been done better. But picking up 2 W's is moving forward. Forward is forward. So we might have had some negatives and things like that are going to come with sports, obviously. Never are you going to be perfect in sports. In Major League Baseball, I believe there's been 27 perfect games thrown in the history of baseball.
That's insane.
Which is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, Mitchell had the correct reaction that, oh my, like that's
exactly
100% right there.
Exactly.
100%.
And the cool thing about that, and that the credit goes to the pitcher, through that perfect game,
sure.
Which, as it should, because they were on. However, it takes 8 other guys on your team to help perform and to bring that perfect game to fruition, So it's very hard to be perfect, So forward is forward. That's right. One small step at a time, and it's important to keep that in the forefront of your mind, I think.
Absolutely. And that goes to, again, the topic today, because he, as a pitcher, also has that stable foundation. We're going to talk about family and also creating your own stable foundation today, of course, but that's a great example because those 8 other guys on the team that were on the field with him are also part of his stable foundation.
100%.
Just like not just your mom and dad are your stable foundation. It's also the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, the cousins, whoever it is, that's also part of your stable foundation.
Your job,
and how we can
school.
turn things around.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Job, school, that's a great point.
Coaches, managers, things like that. Like, there are a lot of people that play a role in your life somehow to make it move forward. It can't all be done by yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of people that struggle to remember that because, like us 3, like, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for a bunch of different things. We want to perform well at our jobs. We want to perform well for the podcast and for our training and business and things like that. When we're in relationships, we want to perform well in our relationships as well to be the best partner we can be, and we try to put all that on ourselves, but there's still so many other people that play a role in that as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, kind of an interesting little couple minutes there talking about that, but it goes right into what we wanted to talk about, and kind of the overall idea being you can jump higher with a stable foundation, and when you have that foundational layer of your life, really it's impossible to not continue to go up in your life and to continue to level up, and progress and again, for moving forward.
Yeah, there's no doubt, dude. And the 2 examples that we'll touch on here is because not everybody has the blessing of having a stable family or a stable foundation, of course. Now, all 3 of us in this room were blessed with that.
100%.
Which is a good example of American excellence, especially,
yeah.
and Christian excellence in that foundation, how important the family has been and how important the family unit's always been. We've been very blessed with that aspect of it, us 3. And that's why, again, we always talk about that's why we can speak on it. Because we've seen what a stable foundation does to bring our siblings and also the rest of our family up as well. Because the rest of our family, Mitchell and I as cousins are a good example of this. They're all doing great too. Yeah. They're all good people with solid morals and whatnot. And again, like, do we all have things to work on? Absolutely. Yeah. But it gave us, having a stable foundation, a better aspect to climb and jump higher, like you just said too.
Gives you direction.
100%. So much direction. And it's basically like there's never going to be a clear map to things, but it's always like, whenever you have that foundation, the map becomes a little bit clearer. The path forwards becomes just a little bit clearer.
Yeah.
And life's already hard enough as it is. So if you have that stable foundation, that backing with a family, having a clearer vision of things like your life all of a sudden becomes just easier to be successful and also just chase the things you want to chase because you're like, oh, I'm backed up by my mom and dad. My cousins are doing great things. My aunt and uncle are awesome, great people. So it's like it makes things so much simpler mentally because you're like, you see a blueprint already. Now, as for building your own, you know, if you didn't see that blueprint, that's why it's so important to get around others that did have that blueprint.
Yes.
It's the same thing as that old saying of you're the sum of the 5 closest people to you or whatever, which is still the truest statement ever, even though people consider it corny or whatever. But it's true because if you can be, let's say you had, you know, a single mother as a man, and then you only saw, you know, what a single motherhood brought and whatnot, and how you didn't really get the masculine influence and whatnot. But then you get around 4 other dudes who had a masculine influence, whether it was a father, whether it was a grandparent, or whatever it was. Yeah. And then you can learn from those other dudes and then build your own foundation because then you turn around, become a better father for your own kids. That's why we all 3 of us are prioritizing kids as we get older as well, because kids are how we build that team around the pitcher. Yeah. It's how we build that team around the goaltender in hockey and whatnot, and that goes for life, because if you can build that team around that, then they all have a stable foundation in sports, in life, in business, whatever it is. And the next thing you know, that blueprint becomes very, very clear.
It's very hard to go down with a stable foundation. I mean, think about a house. It's pretty hard to drill down through a stable foundation of a house that's being built.
No doubt.
You know?
No doubt.
It takes very special tools to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so it would take a very special circumstance in your life to go down if you have a stable foundation. Yes. You know, so...
or your own doing sometimes too.
Or your own doing. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's definitely ways to level
screw
down.
things up. Yeah,
100%. And sometimes very seriously too, you know, crime, drugs, jail time, things like that. Obviously, you know, committing government fraud. Maybe I should put these on for that.
Good guy. You got your glasses today too. That's perfect. That's perfect.
But
cool.
you know, had to throw that in.
Always.
So there are certainly ways to go down. It's not like, okay, well, I have a really solid group of 5 people. Now I can just, you know, screw off and do whatever I want in my life without consequence. Obviously not the case. But if you have the correct 5 people around you, the correct family, the correct foundation, you're not going to be making those stupid decisions.
Absolutely.
You know? Those people are going to hold you in check. You're going to lead a better life. You're going to set a better example for not only those 5, but anyone else that pays attention to you. You know, that's another really good thing about social media is if you can set a good example and live your life in a good way, it's basically unlimited the amount of people that could, you know, follow in your footsteps or just be inspired by you, you know, and how you live your life. So I think, you know, fitness is probably the easiest place to start for building your own foundation. And I say easiest because that's maybe one of the few things you can do by yourself. You know, you have to get yourself to the gym. You have to lift the weights. You have to eat the better diet. You know, so that's one of the few things that you can literally in the next day take control of. Yeah. You know, there's no, okay, I have to save X amount of money to then get this, to get that. You know, I don't have to wait until I meet this type of person. No, like I can go tomorrow, get a gym membership, and start working out. You know, so I think that's the easiest place to start if you don't already have that. If you already have that, I think it's reading books, learning from people, you know, listening to good podcasts like the Untapped podcast.
It's a decent one.
And we talk about it all the time, but it's for good reason. Real AF is another really good one. Ed Milet's is good.
Yep.
So there's podcasts out there. Masculine Revival. That's another one.
Great one.
Bedros Koulian's podcast is actually excellent. And those are actually, some of those are very short episodes, so you can just kind of hammer them out. But anyway, a lot of good people to learn from, you know? And so books, podcasts, things like that. Church is certainly one of those as well.
Yes. The right church.
The right church,
100%,
definitely. Something you actually believe in, something you are passionate about, something that lines up with your values, your morals, your goals, things like that. I don't know. What else do you think?
I mean, I think you hit on a bunch there. I think one I want to kind of double down on is people as well, because especially in the United States, we have a good foundation of a culture here. And again, we've talked about, that's why we hammer on it so well on like past culture and how important it is, because we don't want it to go the wrong direction back as history has
Yeah.
in the past. We
have
want to avoid the negatives down the road.
100%.
But I mean, in our country, we have so many examples of standout citizens, standout, families, standout whatever you ask for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Teddy Roosevelt's a good example of that as a president because
I didn't know him too well though.
Well, he was actually a personal friend of mine. Yeah, personal friend of mine. Which is actually like at the same time you can read like biographies like that, even if it's online or just in books, like from a guy like that, because it's like the speak softly and carry a large stick or whatever it was. Is that correct? Yeah. And I mean his quote is on that is so influential whenever I go back and read it because he prioritized like every like multiple different aspects of not just like Republican and Democrat thing, but also like conservative and the correct progressivism in it as well, because he, was very passionate about national parks, the environment. He was big about that, while he was also passionate about developing a strong culture back in the early 1900s and whatnot. So it's a good example of learning from somebody like that. Even like our founding fathers are a great example of that.
Oh, yeah.
What did we found it on? We founded it on, and again, people like to argue about this, but like the whole secularism thing compared to like Christianity and religion out of schools and whatnot, it was founded as a Christian nation, genuinely, because the values that came along with Christianity really built this nation in a lot of good ways. So I think when it comes to a church, especially in that realm, is that you were talking about church because that is a community of up to 200 to 500 people, give or take, at a small church, usually a lot of times, that you can then rely on and learn from. And they're like, well, I made this mistake and whatnot. Because everybody's gonna make mistakes. There's no doubt about that. And it's like, if you can learn from mistakes in your church, and it also has good values, and it's not, encouraging like a weird like feminine culture or ally culture for the degenerate things going on in our world, that's important.
Yeah,
because
that blows my mind when I see churches and pastors and things like that supporting this type of stuff.
Dude, yeah.
And they call themselves Christians or Catholics or whatever, and it's like, no, you're not.
That's part of the societal infiltration, though.
100%.
That's exactly what it is. Because they know the church is the foundation of the United States. They know Christianity is the foundation of the United States, so they're going to attack it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like statistics, and I was actually talking about this with our barber yesterday, funny enough, about how it used to be, I believe it was early 2000s or like later 90s, where we were at like 85% of our population was Christian, or at least self-identified as Christian, which again, who knows how many practicing, but now it's self-identification of 63% nowadays, which is a serious drop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's serious drop. And again, like how many of those 63% are actually practicing compared to that 85% back in the early 2000s and 90s, And I think that's a great example of why our culture has fallen the way it is, because Christianity has brought so many good values to the world. And it's just like that's the definition of a stable foundation.
Definitely.
Because there's a difference with like putting your marriage before God, because that's what marriage is built on, 100%. Putting it before God and the consequences that come along with, let's say like separating that marriage and whatnot. Because that's the whole idea of like the servant leadership of Christianity, is when you look at a marriage, it's like both sides are serving each other, masculinity in its own way and then femininity in its own way when it comes to that marriage. And we've seen that with our parents and whatnot, and how important that is as a godly marriage, because there's a certain consequence that comes along with it in a godly marriage. If it's just an atheist marriage and there's no real like consequences to it, it's like, I don't really feel like I'm in love with this person anymore 5 years in, and then like I can drop them.
Or things like swinging and things like that.
That's all, just degenerate stuff. And Mitchell and I were talking about this too yesterday, about how everything we see on social media, it's just like it'll be like funny stuff, but then you look at it, it's super degenerate stuff. It's like people that interview others on TikTok and they're like, we're going to do a loyalty test on our phones. And each one of them is like messaging like 5 other people outside of the relationship and whatnot. Right. And like Mitchell and I Mitchell made a great point here about how degenerate the interviewer is there too. Because he's encouraging that type of culture and how funny it is and whatnot and all this other stuff, and how entertaining cheating is and all this other nasty shit that comes along with it. Same thing with swinging. It's like, well, I'm not sexually satisfied in my marriage, so I'm just going to go outside of it and have sex with other people.
Right. And it's like, you guys agree to that?
Exactly.
Like, then don't be married to that person.
And not to mention the percentages on that are a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, any like polyamorous relationship, it's shown to be a horrible foundation.
Yeah.
Divorce, unhappiness, uncertainty at all times and whatnot, because your person could leave you for somebody who's more attractive or whatnot. Right. When a godly marriage brings the actual covenant of marriage into it there, which is why it's so important. And again, like you can argue all you want about, because I actually talked about this too with our barber. I'm like, I can understand how some people, they've probably gotten a bad taste in their mouth from Christianity in some ways, because there are some churches that are garbage.
Oh yeah.
No doubt they're garbage. They're either super weird and culty sometimes or whatnot, but that doesn't define the rest of Christianity just because you went to one bad church and saw some bad people. If I would have defined my Christianity off of other people, I would have been lost from the faith a long time ago.
Yeah, well, it's the same idea as saying something like all white people are racist.
Exactly.
All black people are criminals. Like, it's not true.
Kill all cops.
Yeah,
that type of thing. Yeah.
Right. Are there your bad apples in any sort of population? 100%. But you can't generalize it, So it's the exact same thing there.
100%, dude. Yeah, and as for the fitness aspect, I wanted to hit on that too, because I feel like you listed what? Fitness, books by yourself, /
podcasts,
church, podcasts,
things like that.
Learning on social media, filtering that social media feed that we talked about in the past couple episodes. I feel like those are really 5 solid places to start, because now, does the gym culture sometimes have degenerate aspects to it? Because at first, 100%. And at first, because a lot of people get into it because I want to look good for a girl, as a dude especially.
Which, that can be a good motivator.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Now you have to evolve in that journey, because it's not just about looking like the sexiest dude or whatever. Because not everybody's going to look like McConaughey or Ryan Reynolds or whoever. Not everybody's going to look like those guys, or Alan Ritchson, Reacher, in that show and whatnot.
I guess I need to start looking like Josh Allen, since he's dating Haley Steinfeld now.
That's true. You do have some work to do there for sure. You have to start throwing the ball 75 yards down the field now.
It's easy for me. I bet I could.
I mean, I have seen you throw a baseball 80 plus yards, so I can
throw a end zone.
So
football, no shot. I definitely could not throw it 75 yards.
At least you're honest,
Oh yeah.
See, just honest with your philosophy, Wurtzy. That's what it's all about. But I mean, it's true, because the fitness aspect, it really should teach you to evolve. Because as we've talked about, you're never going to have just the bodybuilding style.
Right.
For most people anyways. You're never going to have just the power building style or the powerlifting style or the CrossFit style and whatnot. You're going to evolve and see what works best for you as whenever you become a mother and father, or whenever you become, just have more responsibilities on your shoulders, you're more busy at work and whatnot, your priorities might change there. Yeah. So you should be evolving. But the reason you're saying it's a great way to find that foundation and build that foundation is because it does teach you that mental fitness that comes along with it too. Because if you can grind, because that's the thing. That's what's interesting about working with clients as well, is you'll see some people that are as the same strength level, like objectively by measuring their maxes, you'll see them, one person think 15 pounds is super heavy and the other person think it's easy, even though they're the same strength level.
Yeah.
So that's where that mental fitness comes into play, because it's like, yes, this is going to be very hard, but can I push through it?
Right.
And that's where it teaches the foundation. It's like, okay, now I can use pushing through that hard in every other aspect of my life. And it's like life's going to suck.
Yeah.
There's death, there's sin, there's famine, whatever you want to name. There's corruption in our obviously in our government and whatnot. And it's like, so that's always going to be a factor. Now, how can I combat that myself?
Right.
As well?
How can I build myself into a person that can handle those situations better when they arise?
No doubt.
If your life is a mess and something like one of those things happens unexpectedly, like, you're going to be ripped apart, and you may not recover from that, but if you're someone that puts yourself under stress every single day through fitness or through just doing hard things intentionally, like we've talked about a million times on here for a good reason, then you're going to be better prepped to handle those situations. They're still going to hurt. Death sucks. It's one of the worst parts of life. Yeah. You lose a family member, you lose a pet even.
Absolutely.
And, I'm not saying, oh, hey, get jacked and you won't cry when someone dies. Like, obviously not the case. Obviously not the case. However, if you can continually put yourself under that stress, stressful situations will become less stressful.
Yes.
That's, I hope that made sense.
No, it did. No, it did. That's really good, actually. Yeah. Because, again, it's what you're saying is that when you get hit with those hard moments, and you already have seen stress, you can then get back on your feet faster. It's the same concept as when you're like, let's say you go from 400 pounds on a squat and you want to max out on 405 or whatnot. You're going to be able to, because you've tried it at 300 pounds, 350 pounds, et cetera. You've tried it at that weight already, and you may have failed and then succeeded at those weights. You know what it looks like at 405 to succeed and fail
right.
already.
Right.
And then if you've already been through life and you're like, well, this job and this career didn't work out for me. I took a hit there, but then I found this field. And it's like, oh, this was really good for me. This gives me something to really knock back on. Now you get hit hard in that field. It's like, okay, but I still love this field. And I see what a really bad field for me looked like. And now I can just keep going in this field.
100%. And that goes into building your own foundation as well. What makes you creative? What makes you excited? You know, what do you enjoy giving to the world?
Yeah. What could help you sustain your family's lifestyle?
100%.
Yeah.
What makes you money? That's certainly a factor here as well.
It's a factor, yeah.
You know? So I think that's also some self-evaluation that a lot of people need to do is what gets my creative juices flowing? You know, what do I wake up, get excited to do every day? Because if it's not where you currently are, then you could be in the wrong spot. You also could just be going through a lower time, you know, a valley, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, so to speak. You're right. Yes. You know, so be very careful with your self-evaluation in those. It's not like, man, I hate my boss at McDonald's. I'm quitting. Okay, well, you might just be at a job at McDonald's.
Yeah. Or how do you feel about your other coworkers?
Yeah,
Do you like your other coworkers?
Right.
Because maybe you do.
Right.
Yeah, the boss might give you a headache. Okay, just put your head down and work, and focus on your other coworkers.
Right, and enjoy your time with them.
Yeah.
You know, I was fortunate enough at the movie theater that I was at for a million years of my life. I seemingly always
confirmed a million years.
I seemingly always had really fun people to work with.
Yeah.
You know, and which is kind of funny to look back. Like I was not a theater kid, like in high school or anything. I wasn't in musicals or choir. So like people that know me now would be like, you worked at a movie theater? Like, isn't that kind of like artsy and that kind of, it's like, okay, yeah, it is. However, like I always had great people to work with. That was what kept me going at that place. You know, it was a fun place to work. It's a movie theater. You know, it's fun perks and things like that, but it was the people. You know, I literally have some lifelong friends that I met at the movie theater. You know, I'm in 2 of their weddings coming up this summer. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Not to mention Tom.
And Tom the Ghost. Yeah. I probably need to go visit him, you know? He might be upset. I haven't been there in a long time.
If you guys want to hear that story, ask us in person because it's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Gabel did have an experience.
A little bit freaky, I will say that.
A little bit.
I don't like ghosts. So
you didn't believe me it was real.
Oh yeah.
And then we went in there.
You were capping, but I could feel it in there.
Then we went in there. Yeah.
Yeah. You like, the shivers were going down the spine 100%. He was watching us.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah. There's some other weird stuff that happened in that specific theater as well. But anyway, like it was the people. You know, 100% it was the people.
No doubt.
And some of those were people that I keep very close, like those 2 I just mentioned. Some were just, you know, they were friends for a time in my life, and that's okay. They had their purpose in my life, and now they don't, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. But I really do think like people is what makes your foundation. That's probably number one.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
If you got shitty people around you, you're gonna have a shitty foundation with all kinds of cracks and holes and potholes and things like that in it, you know, and you're not gonna be able to build off of anything. You're not gonna be able to jump high.
Absolutely.
Off of that, you know?
Absolutely.
But you got that solid foundation. It's a flat layer. Your jumping ability is unlimited.
Yeah.
You know.
So I'm curious. I'll ask you a question because you talked about your dad the past 2 episodes, how he would like be like ready to play catch with you at a moment's notice, at the drop of a hat, essentially. How did that part of your foundation play out for you? Like what's some other good examples of what your father was able to do for you to set that stable foundation for you?
I think it's just always setting an example. I mean, even to this day, he works out every day at home. He's got this app that he's really fallen in love with and whatnot. And I haven't tried to stray him from it because it's working for him. You know he was a part of our trial stuff and he really enjoyed that. But what I was kind of wanting him to do required a little more equipment than what we have. But that's beside the point. In case you're like, why doesn't Wurtz's dad do their training? You know, that's why. Because if something's working for him or for you, why would I try to change it?
100%.
You know, I wouldn't be doing a good enough job as a coach being like, no, you're doing it wrong. You need to come to us. Like that's going to put a sour taste. So anyway, but even to this day, he works out every day at home. It's something like, at this point, I'm probably going to be wrong, but it's like probably 35 straight weeks where he's done every day.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool.
Wow.
You know, he's been at the same job for like 30 plus years. So has taught me, you know, consistency and dependability, things like that. He's worked his way up. He now runs the company. The only person above him now is the owner. And they deal with some of the biggest companies in the world, all names that you guys would know. And they're a very tiny company, so that's also very cool. So it just shows sticking around. My parents, they've gone through highs and lows in the relationship. I remember when I was younger, there were times where, arguments would happen and things like that. However, neither one of them gave up. They didn't give up on each other. They knew that us kids were around and things like that, so they got through those things, and here they are. I think they've been married, let's see, I'm 25. I think they've been married for 26 or 7, something like that. So they've set that example, and that goes for both of them as far as that goes. But, and then just always being willing to help with anything, whether it's helping put a desk together or, when my car is having issues, like, all right, well, let's go try and figure it out, and teaching me different. And honestly, when I was younger, I wish I would have been a little bit more eager to learn these types of things, but being handy, he's extremely handy. I mean, you saw it. He built our deck. He tore down the old deck, built the new one all by himself, completely finished our own basement, has completely redone, I think, every bathroom in the house, things like that. So, and it's all him, flooring, cabinets, all of it, so being extremely handy. So my point is like real world skills, things like that. Now, I know when I was younger, I wasn't overly interested in things like that, which every young boy is just like, Dad, I don't want to do this, but it's like, damn, I wish there were times where I would have been a little bit more apt to learn those things, 100%. And so I don't know. Those are at least some of the things that come to mind immediately. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but
love that. No, that was a great answer.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And that's again why we hammer on the fatherhood point.
Oh yeah.
That's why we hammer on the dual parent household point. That's exactly why right there, because they showed you commitment, loyalty, especially, and not giving up on things just because they get a little bit difficult.
Exactly.
Oh, we had an argument.
Yeah.
Okay. That you also said till death do us part.
Yeah.
In your covenant.
And there's a ripple effect to those decisions.
Yeah.
If decisions were made, to split up or something like that, or, I'm not saying that they were doing that, but just in general, there's a ripple effect. There's consequences to those decisions, good and bad ones, and often people make decisions based on how they're feeling in the moment, and they don't take into account what effect that might have outside of them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And there are times where you do have to be selfish. There are times. When you're married with kids, that's not a time to be selfish.
No.
That's not at all a time for that. But there are times in your life where that is very necessary to be that way and be like, listen, am I doing what is best for me at this exact moment? Then evaluate the potential consequences, good and bad, and then make a decision.
Yeah.
And
that kind of goes on to another point where I see this especially in men. I think this is why it's so important to evaluate your own thought processes all the time and awareness about your situations, because as a man, like especially in the situation we are in our country right now, you shouldn't be apathetic about it. You shouldn't be like, I'm just trying to live my life, have a little bit of fun and whatnot. And that's it.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be your whole identity. It's not time for that. It's like you said, there's time to be selfish and whatnot. Now, there's a time nowadays, if you're a single guy, to be selfish in the way of like, you need to be building yourself and building yourself for any coming issues that could happen or could result in this country and whatnot. Because, and hopefully if we avoid any coming issues and whatnot, and we turn this ship around a little bit, then hopefully we can then build the world to turn around with our children as well.
Yeah.
Because like, no matter, too many times I talk to guys who are just like, yeah, I don't want to get too caught up in what's going on in the world and whatnot, which there is an aspect of that because that can lead you down a very stressed out path. That's 100%. Your entire identity.
Yeah.
But you should be aware of these things.
Yeah.
There's a difference. I personally, I still enjoy the hell out of life, but I'm also aware that we have some business to finish in our government.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to handling our government.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, in a way, this is a time to be selfish in the way of thinking like, this is my country, this is my home, this is my future, and these people are screwing with it. I'm not okay with that. It's time for me to stand up, say what I believe in, live what I believe in, and bring those around me with me as well. So you can look at it a little selfishly in that way. These people are trying to take my opportunities away from me. They're trying to take my life away from me, my future, my goals, all of these things, and I'm not okay with that.
All
And you
because
shouldn't
they think
be.
they're better.
All because they think they're better. They think they're God. They think they know better than us. And it's just not true. It's just not true.
You should be pretty not okay with that as a man, especially.
100%.
You should be particularly concerned about that.
Yeah, and just American citizens in general.
Mm.
It's 100%. Like it's on our shoulders. You know, we talked about in the last episode, I believe it was, you know, our generation, like we're the next leaders. You know, we're just in general, we're the next leaders. And it's like, if we just continue to let this happen, what has been happening, if we keep going the direction we're going down, and let's say there's another COVID type situation, or let's say there's another, you know, election, whatever to call
cyber attack, whatever. Yeah.
Like, are we seriously going to let that happen again? Like, are you seriously going to go along with it? And then here that comes out this week, earlier this week, that, well, yeah, we just need to treat COVID like it's the flu. That's crazy. I feel like there's been a lot of people that have been saying that for quite some time now.
It could have been some dudes that March 2020 we recognized the trends. Yeah. It could have been people around you.
Yeah. And then we have our president at his State of the Union address the other night saying that the vaccine cured COVID and then cures cancer.
Yeah.
Really? Because that's a brand new development to me, Mr. Biden. That's wild. I can't believe, like, I shouldn't be surprised that you're claiming to find the cure for cancer. But it's just like, what are we talking about?
You know,
you created, what did you say, 250,000 new jobs so far this year? I don't know, whatever it was. It's like, really? Because I think those jobs you created were the 250,000 jobs that you took away, you know? And the millions of businesses that
they're
closed.
saying it's millions of jobs that have come back and whatnot. Yeah, whatever it is.
They've created. It's the highest job growth in the history of the United States. Really, because it was also the highest business closing, you know, percentage in the history of the United States as well when you shut down the country. You know? And we've talked about, too, some of that's on Trump as well. The way he handled that situation.
He's still talking about it, too. He was on, like, his True Social or whatever. Did you see that?
I know.
2 things he tweeted. One was that he was, like, still being like, Biden, the vaccine was us.
Yeah, it's like, Trump, you don't want that one, dude.
You don't want to claim that one, bro.
Yeah.
Not a good call there.
Don't take that one.
Not to mention, then he's like, yeah, but I'm actually a bigger ally to Israel. We don't give a shit if you're an ally to Israel.
I don't. I care about our country right now.
I care about the United States.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if a bunch of our politicians are dual citizens of Israel and the United States as well.
Right.
Does not matter.
Yeah.
They're not our greatest ally. Nobody is our greatest ally except ourselves.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Not the UK, not anybody else. Nobody. I don't want to hear any more talks about that. And again, I don't know who I don't know if it's like there's no advisors around him. That's like a good example of a stable foundation. Yeah. Trump's whole presidency was derailed at the last year because he didn't have a stable foundation around him. Because his advisors were complete dog shit.
Oh yeah,
they were all literal brainless idiots around him.
Yeah, all
of them.
Yeah.
They had about 2 IQ between all, like, whatever 80 of them there probably is or something like that, or who knows.
He should have kept Kayla McEnany around, though.
Why was that?
She's a great press secretary.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Just curious. Yeah, just curious. Just had to confirm that one. Definitely wasn't because she was an attractive blonde woman.
She's beautiful.
Like that. Yeah. She's the one he should have kept around. That's it. That's what you're saying. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Okay, cool. Good to know. Good to know. But I mean, you want to talk about a dude with an unstable foundation? Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The fact that he's like, and again, maybe he's tweeting this stuff out by himself or truthing it out or whatever the stupid platform is or whatever it is. Like he's putting it out. Maybe he's doing it by himself, but I highly doubt that. Like. Or, I mean, maybe he has info. I don't know. Whatever it is.
Maybe he's not the one literally typing it, but he's probably saying, hey, type this.
Yeah. More than likely. Yeah. Trump be the guy over your shoulder.
Right.
Put this in. This will be funny. Yeah, this will be funny.
Dude, like that Instagram video.
He memed Biden on Snapchat.
I go, dude, there's no way that he just posted this. If you guys haven't seen that, go to Trump's Instagram. And he like did this, like Snapchat memeing of Biden's speech the other night. I mean, it was funny.
Bro, our political environment is like a clown show. Just
it's not like it is.
It's a reality show.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially what we're living in at this point in time. And that's why, because we should recognize as citizens how cracked the foundation is really becoming.
Oh, it's leaking.
Especially as of March 2020, that's when it really started cracking and leaking really badly. Oh, yeah. And it's still been going from there. Yeah. Because we just accept these things as just normal. Like, it is the flu. Really? I couldn't have told you that one.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I couldn't have told you that mostly people with comorbidities and that are very unhealthy people are the ones that die from COVID, which obviously you just covered up all the flu deaths as well.
Right.
But,
well, no, the flu went on vacation for those couple of years.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It flew south for the winter.
But, bro, that's exactly.
We're just going to let that one slide. I mean, that was kind of funny.
I think it might have went south for winter. It's probably possible. Yeah.
Yeah, just move on. Keep going.
Damn. Sorry, bro. Didn't mean to butcher your
I made
joke
it funny,
like that.
dude.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm not ready. See, this is an unstable foundation right here. Support your homies' jokes.
That's right.
Support them.
Even if they suck, just start laughing.
There you go. That's real friendship right
there. That's right. But mine don't suck.
Huh?
Oh, just continue on, please.
Okay. Fair. Whatever. Yeah. Gosh, dude. So funny. But again, like, the whole idea of why we hit on the creating stable foundations and or continuing on the stable foundations your family may have laid for you, if you're like us three in here, is the country. It is the country. It is the importance of Christianity and what it brings to this world. It is the importance of good values and what they bring to this world. Is the importance of hard work and what it brings to this world. It's the importance of self-responsibility and taking personal responsibility for your own mistakes as well.
Yeah.
That is a real foundation. I'm not saying we have to reverse every single policy that's happened in the last 50 years or something like that, because there's been ones that are good for sure. You know, and again, I don't have a list with me and whatnot, of course, but like there have been ones that have been solid. So I'm not saying that, but my point is that we're not going to sit here and expect the government to just turn itself around. Doesn't matter if it's Trump, doesn't matter if it's Vivek, doesn't matter who it is. We can't expect somebody just to jump in and handle the situation themselves. It's not going to happen.
It's on us.
It is 100% on us.
Yes.
And that's, again, why family and children should be so prioritized, because if you build good children, it also builds a good foundation for the country. That is just an accurate truth of the situation.
Yes.
And that's it.
Absolutely.
It's simple.
Yeah.
The path forward is pretty clear. It's a pretty clear one, and it's pretty guaranteed on how we should go about it coming forward.
Yeah.
It just is.
And it also just allows you to accomplish a lot more with your life.
Yeah.
Have more influence, make more money, do more, you know, and as Jeff says, give more, be more right there. You know, it allows you to do all those things. Yeah. You know,
corruption in the government does not allow you to do those things.
No, and just corruption in your life, meaning a corrupted or corroded foundation. You know, it certainly has a lot to do with the foundation of the country as far as a governmental standpoint, but it's also your life. Yeah, you know.
Well, that's the most important point there,
like we just said.
Yeah, because societal is caused by us.
100%,
no doubt. The last 50 years, 60 years, 70 years have been caused by us.
Right.
It's what we allowed to happen after World War II. 100%.
Yeah.
It's what we allowed to be the case. Yeah. It's not like the government just stepped in and took power like by themselves or whatnot. No, it's because we stood by and apathetically watched the population. And again, it's not really we, because we're
give them an inch,
young.
They take a mile.
Every time.
Every time.
Every single time.
And we've given them,
shouldn't be okay with that.
And we've given them a lot of that in the last few years, especially here.
Yeah.
You know, and we have to put an end to it. We really, really do.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, guys, at the end of all of our non-guest episodes, Money Mitch will ask us a Q&A question that is submitted by you guys, the viewers or the listeners. There's a couple different ways that we would like you guys to submit these. Number one is you can DM them to us on Instagram at untapped.llp. Okay, that is our Untapped account. You can also DM them to us individually. You can also text them to us if you have our number. You can leave them in the comments of our Instagram posts and or our YouTube videos. So we post usually anywhere from about 3 to 5 clips from each episode on Instagram, just 10 to 30-ish second clips of some highlights from the episode. And then all of our episodes are on YouTube as well. We have vlogs on YouTube as well. Those are fun. We will be getting back to those. We're heading into a very crazy time of the year for me personally with coaching and whatnot, but we really enjoy doing the vlogs and showing off local gyms and things like that. So anyway, those are also on YouTube. You can leave them in the comments in there. You can also email them to us. The email is extricationfitness@gmail.com. There's an email button in our Instagram bio as well. So, without further ado, Money Mitch.
Is being flexible in life better than being rigid? So like being flexible in your fitness or politically or the way you are religiously. Is it better to be flexible or is it better to be rigid and kind of stick to your narrow and straight path?
Like, can you do the splits?
It's just like, what the shit?
I mean, I can do a toe touch. Is that the same thing?
Congratulations.
That is impressive. Yeah, I can't move like that.
Yeah.
You can't touch your toes.
No, like when you jump.
Jumping.
Like a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. It's actually pretty impressive. I will say that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Does that count as the splits? I don't think it does.
No.
No. Oh,
But
okay.
no.
Oh.
But it counts as a hyper, like, you're in the
Cool
top
thing.
percentage of flexibility for men.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I mean, gymnasts are beasts, so I
Yes,
guess
that's
I am.
facts.
Yeah, every dude gymnast I've ever seen is just jacked.
Bro, even the girls.
Oh
like,
my gosh,
it is
yeah.
unbelievable.
I mean, you want to talk about hypertrophy? Oh,
yeah, dude.
yeah. Obviously, calisthenics might be the way to go. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Who
right.
knows?
Okay, anyway. I have a feeling we're going to say the same thing. So wait. Is it okay to be flexible or is being flexible or rigid
is it better than being rigid?
Yeah, okay.
So like you're only conservative and you won't, or you're only a Trumper and you won't consider any other points, or you're only a CrossFitter and you won't is it better to be flexible in life?
CrossFitters.
Yeah, wait. Yes. we are aware of that. Is it better? Is being flexible better than being rigid?
So when I initially heard the question, my first thought was like the nice guy versus good man argument or discussion that
we need to do like a full podcast on that, actually.
Yeah.
We should, yeah.
That could actually be a good guest one for
Could.
someone to join us on
Yes.
anyway. But that's kind of where my mind initially went. But then when you kind of rephrased it there and it said, you're only a Trumper and you won't consider anyone else, because there are people out there that if Trump's the nominee, I'm not voting Republican. So, man, it's tough. There's a tough middle ground there, because I do believe you should be rigid in some aspects where when you believe your morals are correct, then live your morals.
Yeah.
And if you believe that being Christian or being Catholic or being, Presbyterian or Lutheran or whatever, if you believe that's the right way to live, then live that way.
Yeah.
Go to that church.
You're truthfully not going to, if you actually live the way all those different denominations in Christianity live, you're probably going to have a pretty good life.
Yeah, 100%. You
Yeah.
should anyway, as
Yeah.
long as you find a good one,
Like,
good
yeah.
church and good priests and pastors and things like that. But, so you shouldn't be flexible on those types of things because then you can be influenced by outside sources and social movements, like you mentioned earlier with, the allied pastors and allied churches and all this other garbage.
Or astrology.
That has found its way into the church.
Yeah.
But there's also cases where I think you should be flexible. You mentioned fitness, Mitch. All three of us are very flexible with our fitness. We have all done different types of fitness. We've all done bodybuilding style. We've all done functional athletic style. We've all done a lot of calisthenics. We've all rucked, things like that. Swimming. You're doing some swimming right now. And so we've all been very flexible in that
Sucks,
aspect.
by the way.
Dude, swimming is difficult.
So you're
Swimming is
saying
hard.
if you have a stable foundation that you can stand on and that you're rigid with, you can build a house with whatever blueprint you want that's flexible. Is that what you're saying?
I think we just end the episode there.
Money Mitch clip? Question mark?
True. I this way you get to say what you want to say here too. So I just, my bottom line is I think there are certain things where you have to be rigid in your life, like you just said, Mitch. And then there are certain things in your life where you should be a little bit flexible. I think politically it's okay to be a little flexible. I think most people are probably more socially liberal and more fiscally conservative and things like that. Where, socially it's like, dude, if you want to do what you want to do, that's fine. Just don't force me to call you something. Don't shove it in my face.
Yeah.
But like, I don't care. Inside of your house, inside of your bedroom or whatever, like, who am I to say you can't do whatever you want to do? As long as you're not like murdering people, things like
That'd
that.
be questionable for sure.
Obviously, we don't condone that.
One thing I've always found interesting is that people always think conservatives are like on the side of global warming or climate change or anything like that, where all of us, like, we love nature.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
like
we're outside all the time.
more than every lefty or
Like,
progressive I've ever met. We love.
Yeah, I'm not going to go hug a tree, but like I will gladly like. We want parks. We want more national parks. We want bigger national
population
parks. So
control
like
of certain animals, introducing certain animals in the correct areas.
It's good stuff.
Yeah,
so we would be
100%.
seen as liberal in that aspect,
Right.
which doesn't make any sense because that a lot of that just seems common sense.
Right. And also, I feel like some of those people just virtue signal with all the bumper stickers and stuff.
Dude, none of them. That's my problem with it, because none of the people who talk about climate change or global warming actually give a shit about the environment. No. Almost all of them live in the city, so burn a bunch of gas, whatever it means. Like what do they call it? Greenhouse gases or what? Yeah. They call it that. So they burn a bunch of that. They don't actually go out to parks and get active and whatnot. They're usually inside staring at their phone, or they're at a Starbucks on a computer that also is built by factories in China and whatnot, which produce a ton of green. By the way, the countries that produce the most pollution, China and India, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like they produce like over 90% of the world's pollution or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's pure virtue signaling, because they also live in the city, which causes the most pollution, again, in quotations. And they also use every single product that the globalist capitalists or whatever have produced. All of them. So that's why I can't take them seriously.
Right.
Because they would never actually get out and hunt and understand the benefits of that when it comes to population control, like deer in Missouri, for example. Or how, for example, in Colorado, there was wolves introduced like near like farms out in the rural areas, and it was very detrimental to farms in the areas and whatnot. They were like, just bring the wolves in. We love wolves. And they all live in the city, and they have no idea what they're talking about and whatnot. And there's wolves go and butcher cattle and whatnot because they shouldn't have been introduced in the area. Now, then a great policy is when we actually went to Yellowstone years ago, up in Montana/Wyoming, and they literally talked to us about how they had reintroduced a certain small population of wolves back into the population. It evened out the coyote population. It evened out the elk/whatever other population, whatnot, and you could literally see the ecosystem take off 10 to 15 years down the road from that.
Yeah.
So they would never understand any of those policies or ever do anything like that, ever. That's why it's a joke, that climate change stuff, the whole point of it. But as for rigid, flexible, etc., I would say political and fitness, absolutely. Now, Mitchell, you might have been indicating flexible wise. You might have been indicating like, I'll skip 7 days in a row because I missed this one day.
Right.
It's not flexible.
One day we'll just take the week off.
We're not. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Bro, I got outside, walked for 20 minutes. I'm done the rest of the week.
Yeah, I'm
calling
good.
it.
I'm good. We're good. Yep. I could totally
like,
do
no.
75 hard though, dude. Yeah. Oh, sure you could, pal.
Yeah. At least most people that I've talked about 75 hard, they're like, I couldn't do that. So at least they're honest about it a lot of times. But almost all of them also could do it.
100%.
Because you don't understand how you can scale it, but that's a whole nother conversation. But as for flexibility fitness, 100% flexibility fitness is understanding the 80-20 rule when it comes to nutrition. It's understanding eat good food most of the time, eat whole foods most of the time, eat as little processed foods most of the time, but understand that the whole idea of working out and good nutrition, you also can have some fun.
Sure.
You can also have a crumble cookie. You can also have a cake at a wedding or whatever if you're celebrating your friend's wedding.
Yeah.
Like fitness is supposed to give you access to life and the beauty of life.
Yeah.
So being 100% rigid all the time can be pretty miserable.
Yeah.
And you can also be a pretty miserable person to be around objectively. And you can also still be a savage by being flexible with fitness.
100%.
No doubt at all that.
But that also means when you are training, you're training hard.
You better be training like a beast.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
100%. 100%. Even like somebody that's in injury rehab, we see like the people that train the most consistently, they also do the best at health source.
And they recover quicker too.
And they always recover quicker too. Yeah. Now, if they have a shoulder issue and they're overhead pressing at the hardest possible rate,
315.
Okay, like they're gonna hurt their shoulder worse. No duh. Be smart about it. But I think that's pretty obvious and common sense. At least it should be if you listen to Untapped podcast. But as for politically, yes, I think being flexible there and looking at all different angles and understanding what is correct is important. That's why the Christianity base and the family base is so important, because it teaches you good values. You can look at the lens of the world through, which is very important. As for socially, I mean, you guys made a good point there. I mean, For the most part, I don't really care about what other people do. Now, I will say we've gone so far in this country, degenerate-wise, as we talked about earlier in the episode, that degeneracy has now infected every aspect of our culture. Even for Christians, even for Muslims, even for atheists, doesn't matter who it is, it's infected everything. So there is an aspect of, like we talked about with swinging, that's going to be a net negative for the population, degeneracy like that.
Well, because it's in everything, schools, sports, business. I mean, you name it. Like it is reaching into all those things.
Exactly. So that's where I'm like, maybe we should care about what other people are doing in some ways, because those degenerate things can lead to other things down the road as well.
And I think, literally, if we just, when people force you to say they're a cat, like, no, that's a cat right there.
I wish we could get a camera on Moke right now.
I know. We just need a roaming Moke camera. But he's sitting right next to me on the ground here. Like, that's a cat.
I would say
you
so.
are a human.
Yeah.
Pretending to be a cat. I'm not going to call you cat. You're going to speak English to me, or whatever language you speak wherever you are.
Based. English.
Yeah, right.
English on top.
American.
Based.
Yeah. You're not going to freaking meow. Like, I literally heard a story of one of the middle school kids I coach. Slow down a little bit. That at school, they have like 10 furries. This is an 8th grader. They have like 10 furries at the school. Yeah. Except that when the teacher asks them a question or calls on them, they freaking meow back.
Oh. Little stretch there.
Even Moke was
I thought Moke was going to meow there to help you out.
That'd be crazy.
That would be nuts.
But they meow. And he literally told me they wear these outfits.
Oh, I can't take it.
They wear these outfits that are like animal print, whatever they think they are. And there's like little hairs sticking out of their shirts. These people literally think that they're kids. And it's like, that is what a not solid foundation at home creates.
Well, a not solid foundation at home creates mental disability like that.
Yes.
That's exactly what that is.
How is that?
Yeah.
How is that
Mental
person supposed to live a life?
No, they can't. The real world would swallow them up in a second. It's the same concept as like, that's why I'm very strict on when it comes to like being, like saying men should be like tactically ready. Because truthfully, if we have a lot of like third world migrants coming in the world and we're not physically ready for that, they will slaughter us because they're used to shitty conditions. So they'll slaughter us in those shitty conditions. So that's why I say, again, that's why I always say the useful idiots, like the cats and whatnot of the world, people that think they're cats and whatnot, they'll get steamrolled. They're always the ones asking for the most violence. It's like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
You would get slaughtered.
You'd be the first person to be killed.
It'd be a butcher session. Like, you shouldn't be calling for violence if you're the weakest.
So the butcher shop.
Exactly. Yeah. It'd be cat meat.
Yeah.
Sorry, Moke. My bad.
I was going to make a very inappropriate joke there.
Me too. I was thinking about one too. 100%. Yeah. I don't know if everybody's ready for that one yet.
Oh, God.
I wonder if the flexible politically, I hope people are trying to get away from the two-party system, because I think we're starting to realize, because it's going to be another Trump and Biden showdown, and people are either going to gobble down Joe Biden and
are they though? Like, if we're being 100% honest, like,
I think people are going to vote for the lesser of two evils.
And some people will justify Biden as a lesser evil, for sure. There will be people that do that.
Which is
100%.
And it's sad. It's sad.
I have no doubt that there will be people.
Yeah.
But do we fully believe it'll be 81 million again? It wasn't even that the first time.
Granted, they have a chokehold in the cities, if we're being honest. People are idiots in the cities. We go down to St. Louis City, there's some absolute idiots down
100%.
there. So,
and that's everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I hope people are maybe starting to realize how bad maybe the two-party system is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because Trump is going to have some dumbass policies as well as Joe Biden. Yeah. But you don't have an option.
Yeah.
You either got to vote for bad or vote for bad.
Well, because if you vote for an independent or a Green Party or Libertarian,
it's a waste
of a vote.
It's a wasted vote.
You know?
I'm also very suspect about our voting system as it is. Like,
especially
I'm still going to vote for sure, but I don't know how far it goes at this point in time.
Yeah.
I think everybody should still vote.
100%.
No doubt everybody should still vote. No doubt. But especially after 2020.
Yeah.
I don't know how much our vote means anymore. That's why I would prefer to just be prepared for the worst case scenario in my own life and whatnot in case it does come. Because I think they'll do anything, to be truthful with you. Like, and again, like Mitchell said, like Trump's got some BS too. Like
100%.
I don't think he's going to be a savior even if he did win.
Yeah.
I really don't. He might lock 2 people up or whatnot,
Right.
and that's about it. Because then they still have a hold of the bureaucracy. They still got a hold of the FBI, the ATF, the NSA, CIA, all of them.
It'd be sweet if on day one, if he got reelected on day one, he just executive order, like completely got rid of all of those agencies.
Completely.
Yeah.
Wreck them.
Oh, yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day one.
I don't care if it unemploys people. They go find another job.
Those people don't deserve jobs.
Yeah. You've trampled over our rights for 50 plus years now as our federal bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So no, I don't feel any real sympathy at all. Right. I really don't. But yeah, I would say overall, like a rigidity aspect is important when it comes to values, because you should have that foundation. And again, a mother and father and Christianity develop a certain really good foundation for the most part, depending on the churches we've talked about. That foundation should be a direction. Now, should you hear out other people? 100%. So you can kind of mold your direction of things. Like we don't think 100% exact to our parents. Yeah. Just like we don't think exactly 100% to like our grandparents' generation, like 80 plus and older and stuff like that.
There's generational differences there.
But there's obvious values that come with it too. Like people always say like, I want to find a love like my grandparents had. Well, the dual parent household and Christianity leads to that. Yeah. Because that's what our nation was back then.
And not giving up in hard
situations.
situations.
To tell you. You can call me a Christian nationalist or whatever you want to do, but it genuinely led us to our country today. Yeah. So we can fight about that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But yes, so rigidity and flexibility both have a use, but rigidity is important for the foundation aspect of it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's what I got.
Yep. I like it. So, guys, that is episode 115. We are crawling right along here in the 100s, which is pretty sweet. So, guys, keep up the love, keep up the support. Like we mentioned earlier, it has been really, really cool to see and hear here recently. So keep that up, guys. We appreciate all the love. We appreciate all the support. Share the show, okay? Share it to your Instagram stories. Share it with your friends, your family. Text it around.
Rate it.
Rate it.
Yep.
Leave us a comment. Leave us a review, things like that.
If you want to hear a certain topic, let us know that too.
It helps us grow. It helps us create a better source of content for you guys and things like that. So please let us know what you're thinking. We appreciate all of the feedback. We really, really do. So, guys, until next time, peace and love.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Got too little time.